You've decided to age at home. You love your independence, you love your house, and that makes complete sense. But here's a question you may not have asked yourself yet. You love your house, but do you love the life you're living in it? Not just within the walls, or on the property outside the back door. Not just the kitchen you renovated, or the garden you've spent 20 years perfecting. The life, the whole life. The ordinary Tuesday afternoon, the rhythm of your week from Monday to Sunday, the drive or walk to your most frequented places, the people you see when you go to the mailbox, or the grocery store, or church, or the senior center, the cafe that will thankfully still serve a simple cup of coffee. Is that life still full? Is it still connected? Is the world outside your front door still working for you? Or has it shifted over the years in ways you haven't quite acknowledged yet? Here's something I've learned as a caregiver and seniors real estate specialist. Most people who want to age in place spend a lot of time thinking about their home. Grab bars, lighting, the stairs, and those things matter. But unless you don't ever leave home, the house is only part of the aging in place picture. The rest of it is everything outside the front door. Your community, your routines, your errands, your access to the people and places that make your life feel like it's yours. And that part, most people never analyze it at all. That's what this video is for. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you're watching this. I'm Hannah. I'm a New Hampshire realtor specializing in housing transitions for older adults and the families who love them. Before I was a realtor, I spent 2 years as a caregiver for seniors aging at home in the Concord area. So the questions we're talking about today aren't just professional ones for me. I've sat in real homes with real people in their real lives, hearing their life stories, struggles, and successes. I have seen and heard the differences between a full life and a life that is not working for them anymore. This channel is a resource for anyone navigating what it means to grow older in New Hampshire. The practical side, the emotional side, and everything in between, which can be a whole lot. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to walk through your life, not just your home, your whole life. And we're going to ask, honestly, whether the place you're living is still the right container for it. Here's something I've noticed working with older adults and their families. The homes that stop working don't usually stop working all at once. It's gradual. The routines that used to feel so good that have slowly become less enjoyable, the friendships that meant everything during another phase of your life but have grown quiet, the feeling of being an important part of something, a neighborhood, a community, a way of life, that you didn't realize you were losing until it was mostly gone. By the time most people notice this lack of a full, vibrant life, they've been living without it for years already. So today, I want to offer a framework for seeing clearly whether your home is still located in the center of your life or if you're just living in your home. Not so you can make a decision right now, but so you can make it intentionally when the time comes, knowing you're making the best decision for yourself. We're going to move through 4 areas of your life. For each one, I'll ask you to ask yourself a few questions. Ready? Let's start. Imagine an ordinary Tuesday, not a special day, not a birthday or a visit from family, just a regular weekday. How you wake up, how you move through your hours, how you end the day. Does that day feel full? Not necessarily busy, full, meaningful, like it has shape and purpose. Are there things you do most often? Errands, hobbies, appointments, rituals? Are they still accessible and easy enough that you actually do them? Or have some of them quietly dropped off because getting to them became more work than it was worth? Think about the things that you loved doing 5 or 10 years ago that you do less now. Some of that is normal because life is changing, but some of it is friction. Distance, driving, energy, logistics, friction that your environment is creating. Your home should be making your daily life easier, not stifling it. There's also the question of maintenance. The home itself, the yard, the driveway. In February, is the physical upkeep of where you live still something that feels manageable, or has it started to feel like it's controlling your life? This isn't about whether you can do it. It's about whether doing it is leaving any extra room for everything else you want your days to contain. This one is more uncomfortable to consider, but in my experience, it's often the most important. Do you feel like you belong where you live? Not just that you live there, but that you belong there, that you know people, that people know you, that if something happened, someone would notice. Community isn't just proximity. It's history, familiarity, shared experience. Some people have lived in the same town for 40 years and feel deeply woven into it. Others have lived somewhere just as long and feel like they could disappear and no one would notice. Both are worth being honest about. Here in New Hampshire, this question has a particular texture. We're not a state that builds community loudly or quickly. Connection here tends to run deep, but it also tends to require effort to build and effort to maintain. And as we get older, some of the natural structures that used to keep us connected, like work and kids, are not holding our community together anymore. What's left is what we've intentionally built or what still exists within reach. So ask yourself this: what does your community actually look like right now? Not what it looked like at its most thriving times. Right now. Who are you in regular contact with? Who would you call if you needed something right now? Who calls you? And does where you live make it easier or harder to sustain that? Let's get a little bit more concrete now. Think about the people and the places that are most important to your quality of life. Your closest family, your closest friends, your doctor, your pharmacy, your grocery store, the places where you worship, volunteer, or spend time doing what you love. How long does it take to get to each of them? How much does getting there depend on you being able to drive in all seasons, at all times of day? In New Hampshire, that last question isn't hypothetical. Public transit is limited outside of a handful of urban areas. Winters are real. Distances between things can be pretty significant. The life you're able to live here is, more than almost anywhere else in New England, dependent on your ability to move through it independently. Which means the question isn't just whether the people and places you love are accessible today. It's whether they'll still be accessible in 2 years, in 10, and whether your home is positioned to support that, or whether it's positioned in a way that will quietly cut you off from the things that you need the most as your circumstances shift. This is not a reason to panic. It's a reason to look clearly at the geography of your life and decide whether it's still working for you, while you still have the final say in the matter. Okay, this is the last one, and I want to frame this carefully because it's easy to hear this category as a conversation about decline. It isn't. It's a conversation about fit. Every stage of life has different needs. What a home needs to provide for a 45-year-old is different from what it needs to provide for a 65-year-old, which is different again from what it needs to provide for an 85-year-old. That's not a judgment of any of those ages. It's just true. So the question is, what stage of life are you actually in right now? Do you need more activity and engagement than your current location provides? Do you need more quiet and simplicity than a large home and property is giving you? Do you need to be closer to family, or do you need more independence from them? Do you need a community of people at a similar life stage, or does the mix of ages around you feel right? The answers will tell you something important about whether where you're living is still aligned with where you actually are in your life. And here's the thing that I've noticed over and over. The people who navigate these transitions the best aren't the ones who waited until they had no choice. They're the ones who ask these questions early enough to answer them on their own terms. I want to share something I think about a lot when working with seniors. There's a version of this conversation that's about loss, what you're giving up, what's no longer possible, what's changing. And there's another version that's about alignment, whether the life you're living matches the life you actually want to be living. Those are not the same conversation. The first one puts you in a defensive position, trying to hold on to something. The second one puts you in the driver's seat, asking whether what you have is still what you want, and if not, what would serve you better. I try as much as possible to stay in the second conversation. Not because the first one isn't real, it is, but because the second one leads somewhere. Your home is not your identity, but it shapes your life in ways that are easy to underestimate. Who you see, what you do, how connected you feel, how capable you feel. Getting that fit right is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And it starts with being willing to look at it clearly. If you're working through these questions and want some support, ServiceLink is a New Hampshire resource that can help connect you with local services, assessments, and options that fit your specific situation. Their website is ServiceLink.nh.gov. The link is in the description. So, how does your life fit where you're living? If the answer is mostly pretty well, that's worth knowing. Hold on to that. If the answer is that some things have drifted out of alignment, that's worth knowing too. And the earlier you know, the more options you have. If you want to talk through what came up for you, reach out. My number is 603-573-6969. These are exactly the kinds of conversations I'm here for. Some of you are going to go through this assessment and feel settled. Your home is working. Your life is working. You have some things to address and you know what they are. But some of you are going to sit with these questions and realize that what you actually need isn't a modification or a checklist. It's a different option entirely. In a previous video, I talked about all of the options I didn't know about for senior living. In the next video, we're going to talk about what those options look like in New Hampshire. The full range from staying put with more support to downsizing to 55 plus communities, to what it looks like when a different kind of care becomes part of the picture. I'll see you there. You love your new independence. You love your house. Not just the kitchen you renovated. Ba, 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 ba. And does getting there depend on you here? Mailbox,